Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shannon. I'm the owner of Outsider Art Shop where I create jewelry. And if you've been to my channel before, if you're a subscriber, you've seen that I make a lot of videos about my stained glass jewelry and soft soldering. But this video is going to be a little different. It's going to be about lost wax carving, which I've just been getting into. And I've done enough practice that I feel ready to share some stuff that I've learned. So if you're not interested in that, you can skip this one, and I'll always have more going back to my previous subject of stained glass and soldering. I'm wearing one of my pieces right now, so that's an example of it. I'm gonna pop like a photo of it so you can see a close-up. So I use real butterflies encapsulated in glass and solder the edges and all that. So yeah, I wanted to expand my jewelry offering and have rings and hopefully other pieces of jewelry soon too. So I'm starting with rings and doing it using lost wax carving. So that, just for a quick overview, if you're here because you're looking to learn about that, you probably already know a little bit about it. It is where you are designing something out of wax and you're melting it and building it up or taking it away and basically sculpting. And then you or somebody else, you can outsource the step, is going to cast it into silver. And you do that by making a mold out of it, out of this product called investment. And then when you pour the hot metal inside of that, it melts away the wax, so the wax disappears and the metal it goes into the shape of the mold. So then it comes out in silver, and then you have to still polish that. And yeah, so I've been practicing a lot. It's super fun. I love just the like really detailed like very much like zone in when I'm doing it. I can just do it for hours, and there's a lot to really kind of learn in the beginning because it's just a new material for me. It was a new material, sculpting with wax. So you're just sort of getting to know its properties and like what it wants to do, like how long it stays hot for and how long it takes it to cool, and just like how it breaks as you're sculpting it, whether you're using files or an Exacto knife. So yeah, I wanted to first just make one video here about the materials. And so I'm going to go through all of the things that I bought to get started and what I feel is like super essential. And there's always kind of like a step 2 where if you're into it and you want to get better and make more intricate designs, then there's sort of like a second level of things that you could end up buying in addition to that. So you could start off fairly cheap with this, but it can also get a little pricey too, which I knew that I wanted to like go all in and like make this my new thing I was doing. So I definitely bought a lot of stuff. So yeah, let's go over that. So number 1, you need wax. And I bought this off of a website called autofray.com. But you can also find it at other jewelry supply websites. There's Rio Grande and maybe like jewelrysupplies.com maybe has the wax. I'm not sure. So the brand is Ferris, and I highly recommend getting this brand. There's stuff on Amazon, but start with an industry approved wax, I would say, because sometimes you don't know what you're going to get on Amazon and it could be not as good quality. And if you're just jumping into this without having done it before, you want to start with a good material. And then, you know, if you end up with crappier wax later on, at least like, you know how the good stuff handles and then how to adapt. So anyway, I bought this box that came with like several sizes, like thicknesses, and it is like a sheet of wax. And as I've used this stuff, and now my piece that I've been using looks like this. And that is from dipping my soldering iron into it. So I use it that way, and I'm pretty much using what's called the build-up method. You can also get, and I did actually get this on Amazon very recently, you can get it in this form, and then it would come with this ring sizer. So this inserts in, you twist it, and it'll end up making the size ring that you want, and it has numbers on it. So like I said, I haven't used this one yet, and the reason why I got this secondary is because we also need a jeweler's saw to cut through this, and I wanted to skip buying all this stuff. I wanted to start with sheets of wax and a soldering iron for my step one and try that out first. So you can kind of start with one or the other, but if you get this, you got to get the saw as well. I did purchase this saw, and I don't have it out because I haven't used this yet. So I'm gonna link all this stuff below. So this I bought on Amazon along with the saw. So I did end up going the Amazon route because it was Prime Day, and I wanted to buy a few cheaper materials rather than going to the jewelry supply websites and see if that would work for me, because I was spending a lot on more higher end stuff, which I'll get more into too. So I thought, yeah, we'll get a cheap saw and see how that goes. So it was like 15 bucks, and then this wasn't that cheap. I got a lot of these. Maybe the box came with like 10 of these, and this for like 30 bucks. So that's why this was sort of a secondary thing. Yeah, and so this sheet of wax and soldering iron, that was like my step one. Soldering iron I have, I'm gonna link it. I just realized the brand name on it is like in another language and not in English. So I'll show it to you, but I'll just have it linked. I actually really love this one. Okay, not gonna get clear, but I love this one. It has a dial here, so you can adjust the temperature. So when I was wanting to start this and go really cheap, I had a $10 soldering iron that I already like had from years ago, and I thought, okay, I'll just use this and that will melt the wax. And it didn't have temperature control, and it got definitely way too hot, and I couldn't make it less hot. And so it was burning through the wax, and the wax was just, you know, evaporating, I suppose, whatever the right word for that is, and creating like a ton of smoke. And even my partner, who's over here watching TV while I'm working, was like, oh, this is insane. It's way too smoky in here. And so I knew right away, like, all right, I gotta go purchase a different soldering iron, spend the money. So like 40 bucks or something, get this temperature controlled one. And I found that it best works for me at around 450 to 470. So go ahead and take note of that, and that should work out great for you. And then speaking about the smoke some more, it's still, even with the right temperature, giving off like a light amount of fumes for sure. So if you aren't doing it in like a super ventilated area, open windows and all that, you can also go ahead and get this fume extractor. So it has like a carbon filter, and it has a fan, so it sucks all the fumes and just brings it straight directly away from your face. So that's great. And then you can wear a respirator mask too if you feel like it, but the fume extractor will do it for you. So you know, if it's not giving off a ton of fumes and smoke and you feel safe and you don't want to buy that right away, that would be fine. But if it is something you're gonna end up doing like every day, you can go ahead and get that, I'd say, to keep yourself safe. And so the next item is a mandrel. This is my ring mandrel. This is what I use as a form. And this one, I believe I also got at Auto Fray or Rio Grande. And so it's got all these tiers of each size. And I typically am just using in between like 5 to 9. And I just liked that it was labeled clearly with like a line at each size. And so it comes off of its little stand that it comes with. So I can hold it while I'm using gravity to help me form something, but then I can also have it on this stand. And I ended up purchasing the one with the stand because I knew I was gonna be working at my desk, and I actually use a clamp. I'll show you. I have like a big heavy duty clamp, and I clamp that to my desk, and my desk actually has, here, we're gonna take a little trip down here. I have this drawer that comes out, so this gets clamped right here. And as I'm working and filing, you can see my little workstation, all of the wax that I'm carving and is coming off drops directly into that little drawer. So this desk is amazing. I got it on Craigslist, and it's just perfect for doing that. So yeah, there's specific jewelry bench desks, which I'm sure go for a lot of money and are designed for that. So you can obviously create your own setup. If you're just at a regular plain old desk, you can just figure out a way to have a little station where this is set up and there's something, just a box or whatever, that's collecting as you're filing, if you're gonna file. So I definitely use my files a lot. And so that is sort of the next thing that you could do with, or you could do without. And there's a lot of people I've seen on YouTube or on Instagram that do this build-up method, and they're using their soldering iron, maybe just a soldering iron, because they're building these very organically shaped sort of chunky rings that are a new kind of style. And so in that case, those people may not end up doing a ton of filing, but I would say there's still need to file, maybe just like clean up the insides and clean up certain areas. So speaking on that, this is the first file that I bought, and it's specific for wax, so you need to look for that. Again, I believe I bought this with the original order that I made with Auto Fray, and so I won't have all this linked, or maybe I will. Yeah, I can link the Auto Fray stuff too. So this was not cheap. I think 30-ish or more bucks for a little file, but I decided after doing some research on this topic, like you need to get a good file. You don't want to get a cheap one. So just go ahead and spend that money right away. This one is like the main file for getting off a lot at once, get everything smoothed out and fast. So it has two sides. So one is a bigger grit to it and one is a little bit finer, but they're still pretty big grit. And then there's a flat side and a rounded side. So very useful, use it a lot. And then that's pretty much everything I started with. And then along with my Exacto knife toolkit, I've had this forever, like probably since I was a kid. So if you have that lying around, great. If not, just get some type of little Exacto knife set. I end up using this blade a lot. Just want to describe the shape a little bit. It's a longer, skinnier shaped blade as opposed to this one, which is like a little bit fatter and shorter. I did use this a little bit and it was just not scraping as smoothly. So this has been like a big go-to for me. And again, like with the filing and the Exacto knife thing, like you're just gonna play around at first. You're gonna figure out what kind of style you want to go for, and you're just gonna have to like trial and error it and see how the wax responds to your handwork, and you'll figure it out. So yeah, so then this is maybe like a level 2 that I ended up deciding, okay, I want to refine my pieces a little bit more than what I'm getting from just soldering in the big files. So I looked into it, and these are what you would call precision files. And these are a German brand. I guess the brand is called Dick. Let me show you up close. I thought there was another name. All right, and then these came with 7, and I have found that, well, so you can buy these individually. They're expensive. So this whole set, I think, was like 60, 70 bucks. So for some little files, not that cheap. And I said, I want the good ones. I'm gonna get these German higher end ones, because it's like I could go cheap and I could buy them individually to try and save money at first, but like if I'm going to be doing this, you just gotta sometimes drop that money right away, and then you're good to go like forever. You don't have to worry about an upgrade later. So I will say, for my work, I've used every single one of these. Maybe the only one I would like not necessarily need if I was going to go individually is the, and I have used it, but it's just like the round, completely round, pointy one. I could see why it would be useful though, and I've sort of used other tools that I have in replace of this, and just like the Exacto knife. Yeah, it has like a half round one, it has a flat one, it has a triangle shaped one. This one, it only comes with one that is like this, and it's super great because it has a file on one side, and then there's the other side has no teeth, so then you're not disrupting anything on the side of what you're working on. So I love that one. And then it has this little case, so keep them all together. All right, and I have to show you guys the rings I made too, so you can see exactly what I've been able to do with all this stuff. So I'll do that. The last couple things, oh, so you can also buy wax in this shape, these little cylinders, and there's, I mean, so many different uses you could come up with and play around with for these. One thing I kind of learned that was really great, I've done most all of my rings doing the build-up method, and I'll do videos about all the processes too. I just haven't gotten that far yet, but these were cool. The last one I just made, I learned that I can like roll this out like as if I'm using a rolling pin, how you do with clay or whatever, and flatten it a little bit, and then I can form this into the ring itself. I tried forming this into a ring itself without flattening it. It just was like too round, and it ended up breaking and didn't quite work. So if you have some of these already that you're gonna try and use, a little tip for you, give it a little flattened out. Okay, so you don't necessarily need to jump in and buy those. I'm about to send all my waxes to a caster. I'm doing that in a couple days. So I decided I wanted to purchase this wax brite as like my final step to try and get everything smoothed out a little bit more. So this I got from Rio Grande, and it's called Wax Brite. So it's just a wax solvent, and I use a Q-tip dip it in, rub all the surfaces of the wax, and it kind of, it's very light of a difference, but it did make a difference, and it's just aiming to smooth out some of the file work. All right, let me show you a couple pieces. My close-ups are definitely not great, so I just inserted my little short video that I made here so you can get some better close-ups. I tried a little bit of everything. I have bezels and I have claw prongs, and I did some regular prongs that aren't pictured, just so I could try setting all different types and see what worked for me. Also experimented with a few different finishes, like leaving things just filed and then also having things completely smoothed out with the lighter, and see what the difference of that would be. Here's some of these tools in action and the process of all of these. So very soon I'll have full-length videos of everything. And I actually have a little short that I already posted that shows all of these, so go look at that. My lighting is not great in here, but this is a really beautiful Ethiopian opal. And okay, as you can see here, there's a pink going on. So I forgot, I'm going to show you also pink wax and what that is about. A little simpler one here. This is probably my favorite. It's got a kyanite stone, and it's got clawed prongs, and I did some little circle dots, which are very easy to do with the soldering iron. And here's a fun one. This one is more of like that organic, thick looking build-up method. So I tried to do like a bunch of different styles to just see how it all turned out. This one, the stone is going to be a moonstone, but it's not there because I'm going to do a bezel setting. And then I managed to do these moons. So that was an ambitious one. It took me a while. So it's fun to learn all this stuff though. And then there's just another one with like a bezel cup and some dots around it. Really simple. This was like the first one I did, so I just tried to start pretty simple. I got a bolder opal in there that it's really cheap, so a lot of these stones I'm starting with are not the cheapest, but you know, you can always try and purchase some little gems that are lab grown and just stuff that is not too pricey and get started. Okay, and I had to pause for a second because my baby woke up from her nap, which happens a lot in my videos. So we're just gonna quickly run through a couple more things while she hangs out with me. She's a super short napper, so I don't know if any parents out there relate, but try and make these videos while she's lying down, and she napped for like 20 minutes, so she's here. Yeah. It was funny, huh? Okay, so last few items. If you have painter's tape around, or if you don't, you might want to buy some. This I applied directly to the mandrel, and it's very necessary in order to remove the wax from the mandrel. You can use your Exacto knife and kind of shimmy it off. It's not too difficult, but without this, yeah, you don't want to apply the wax directly to the mandrel. So necessary little item. Also a lighter, or if you have like a heat gun. I don't have a heat gun, surprisingly. I have like every other craft tool, but I use my lighter, and I like these little, one with this little extender. Okay, and I bought a wax pen not knowing if I would need it or use it. This is the Max Wax. There it is. It has a safety cap on it. I don't want to turn it on with my baby here, but it's pretty safe. So nothing's gonna heat up unless my finger is on this button and holding it down, and then it heats up. This is the exact same thing, maybe the exact similar to like a thread cutter. So if you're a sewer, you could be familiar with people in the industry would use this type of thing to kind of melt and finish off a polyester or nylon thread. So very similar to that. And I use that for like, if I just need to get like the tiniest bit of wax somewhere and just sort of like glue a bezel cup I made onto the band, then I'm going in there and like getting really precise small amount of wax. I find it kind of tricky to use, honestly, but I will pull it out and use it once in a while. I just tend to always stick with the soldering iron a little more often. So yeah, you can't really create these type of rings without the soldering iron, but you could create it without the pen. And then the last, I think this is the last thing I'm going to go over for this video, is the pink wax that I was talking about. So this was from Rio Grande. You don't need this. You can just stick with the blue and try that out for a while at first. But yeah, I wanted to go for this type of design that it was kind of necessary for, and it is a very soft wax. Yeah. And it's got a very high melting point, so it's when you touch it with a soldering iron, it's like kind of disappears, like melts so fast. So you again will just kind of learn by playing around, like what you can do with it. So let me pull out a sheet here. I have one. I was wanting to like try cutting out shapes like moon and star and do all that, and I placed this down on my cutting mat, like the self-healing cutting mat, and I used my Exacto knife. And you can draw on it with a Sharpie, a fine tip Sharpie, and draw first if you want to, or it's kind of transparent, so you could even just like place it onto a piece of paper that has a drawing on it and like trace that. Yeah, let's not eat the wax. So that's that stuff, and it's really bendy, it's really flexible, and one thing that's so cool about it is because the melting point is like so easy, you can kind of actually fuse it to the blue wax just by like pressing into it, and the warmth from your hand, from your fingers, melts it down in a way, and it kind of is like a sticky, gluey kind of wax. And so again, here's the one where I used it with this like wreath shape as the like the part that will hold the stone in place. So that's a fun one. And that's all I'm gonna go over for now. I'll make another video if I've forgotten anything. Let me know if you have questions in the comments, and next up I will definitely be putting out a whole bunch of process videos on this. Hey. All right, so we'll see you guys next time. And say bye. Bye.